Ladies and gentlemen, in this Red Gamer Telecom video, we're going to be discussing the news which is flying around at the moment, the internet, and that is that Jim Keller is leaving AMD. So who is Jim Keller? To give you a bit of backstory, Jim is the lead architect of the new line of processors from AMD known as the Zen. So he is leaving AMD effective of, well, right now. He left September 18th. Now, this is the first time Jim has actually left the company. In fact, Jim Keller was actually a rehire back in 2012. Previously, he was the head of developing certain processors at AMD, for example, the K7 and K8, which of course were the basis of a lot of the success which AMD enjoyed early in the 2000s. But then, as I said, he left, and then he went over to Apple. And when he was there, he was developing the A5 SoCs, just for example. But then, once again, he was hired by AMD to help them with their Zen line of processors. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, Zen, at least for the desktop users, which is the main one that we're going to be focusing on for the purpose of this video, is going to be based on x86/64. There are other projects in AMD CPU group which they are working on, and these include an ARM-based processor which is known as K12, but we don't know quite so much about that processor, so that's why I'm leaving it to the side for now. Now, AMD have confirmed that Keller is leaving. This is confirmed, but they're not particularly worried about their roadmap. The roadmap, of course, is their lineup of products which are going to be released over the next couple of years. Zen is still going to be released the latter half of 2016. There's no specific date as yet. So, for example, it could be August 2016 or it could be November 2016. However, the first full period of revenue with Zen is going to be 2017, so the design time for a processor is at least 4 years on average now. It takes a long time, and from what we can understand, he's not just leaving them and saying, you know what, forget this, I'm just going to rub my hands together, I'm gone. No, it's most likely, from what I'm reading, as well as just logic, that he's left with pretty much most of the design work gone, and now it's just basically bug fixing, testing, figuring out what the clock speeds are, what the yields are going to be, maybe speed binning, the other stuff which comes with the processor. So, just for example, you know, what type of yields are they going to be getting, what speeds are they going to launch the processor in, just for the sake of argument, are they going for 3 GHz, 3.2, 4, whatever. Obviously, all of that stuff, once again, does depend on yields and the quality of their silicon. There are probably other things as well, like, you know, does it randomly error? Have they got little bugs, for example, with instructions which need to be fixed, microcode, or whatever? You know, maybe the processor sometimes randomly crashes out with a certain instruction, so they need to fix that little bug. Basically, the main heavy lifting is done at this point, so it is literally just them fixing it for the next, you know, year or so. Now, the bad problem is that AMD have lost his skill for the future. That's not to say that they're completely out. Now, during Keller's absence, it's going to be left to CTO Mark Papermaster. Now, he has done much of the, or shall I say, will be taking over much of his responsibilities. He's the acting leader of the group. What is going to happen, I'm guessing we're going to hear over the next couple of months, maybe a year or so. What we do know is that the third quarter earnings from AMD will be showing up on October the 14th. As for Keller himself, as I said earlier, he has switched quite freely between companies. He's been to Apple, he's been to AMD. It's possible that he could just say, you know what, forget it, I'm gone. But, and of course, the key word is but, supposedly he was leaving to go for other opportunities, whatever they may be. I mean, for all we know, he's going to be, you know, running a fast food stand because that's what he wants to do now. It's just, we don't really know the specifics of his departure, but it's most likely, just given all we've learned, that Zen itself is not going to be impacted. As for Zen, or rather the follow-up to Zen, which I guess we could just call Zen Plus for the sake of this video, we know that that's going to have small improvements as well to the original Zen architecture. Just how much a performance boost it's going to have, well, supposedly around 10%, which isn't too bad. For now, if you're wondering, you know, should you be worried about Zen? No. I would probably say at this point, he's done everything he could. So, unless they were going to delay the processor, they wouldn't really been able to improve the performance that much, even if he decided to stay there. So, basically what I'm saying is the performance of Zen is going to be about as good as what it ever was going to be. So, I'm remaining fairly optimistic about Zen. I'm not saying it's going to be, oh my god, it's going to murder Intel, but I do feel that it's at least from what we've heard, from what we've understood. For example, the fact it's got simultaneous multi-threading, which is much more Intel-like. It's got improvements on bandwidth, low latency caching. It's much better in terms of a single core performance. So I'm pretty confident. I'm not saying it's going to be the best launch AMD have ever had, but it should be pretty damn interesting, at least in my opinion. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.